Welcome to the deep dive. Okay, think about the biggest scientific breakthroughs this century. What comes to mind?
Well, you've got the usual suspects, right? CRISPR gene editing, finding gravitational waves,
Right, the Higgs boson, maybe mRNA vaccines with their platform potential.
and AI. You absolutely cannot forget AI. These are game changers.
Totally. They've reshaped our world, our understanding.
Yeah.
But the research we're digging into today throws a real curveball.
It does. It makes this, well, pretty provocative claim that the greatest discovery isn't any of those.
Exactly. The argument is that the real breakthrough, the big one, is actually a theory, a new way of looking at language called Odam Tili Theory, or OTT.
And the reason they're putting it above, editing genes or finding fundamental particles is because it tackles something deeper.
Information integrity. That's the core idea, that OTT gets at the foundation that all these other incredible discoveries actually depend on.
Mm-hmm. So our mission here is to unpack this Odam Tili theory. It comes from Momojin Kuchkrov and his colleagues, and really explore this argument. Is it truly a meta-discovery?
A discovery about discovery, almost. Like understanding the rules of the game itself.
That's the idea. A framework for how human knowledge, how communication itself even works.
Okay, let's start there. Information as the meta resource. Why? I mean, usually we think energy resources, biology are fundamental for civilization.
Well, think about it. Every single decision we make about using energy or investing capital or intervening in biology, it's only as good as the information behind it.
Yeah, okay, so information comes before those other things. It's the prerequisite.
Exactly. It's the precondition. It's upstream from everything else. If the info's bad, the decision's bad, no matter how much energy you have.
That resonates historically, too. Prehistoric survival, for instance. It wasn't just about being strong.
Right. It was about sharing accurate knowledge. Where's the danger? Which plants are safe? How do the seasons work? Get that wrong.
And your group doesn't make it.
Yeah. And that basic principle, that contingency, it's arguably even more critical now. Our entire modern world runs on data, finance, health, everything. It's incredibly fragile if the information is flawed.
You mentioned information integrity. Let's clarify that. It's not just about avoiding lies, is it?
No, it's deeper. Integrity means the information actually reflects reality.
Yeah.
And that it's processed and understood correctly within our human systems. It's about the whole chain.
Okay, so what happens when that integrity breaks down?
Well, look at the real-world impacts. Biased data trains an AI. You get dangerous, unfair outcomes. Wrong genetic map for CRISPR, potential disaster.
Misinformation fueling conflict. Incorrect medical diagnoses.
Exactly. It cascades. The quality of the information fundamentally dictates the quality of the outcome. Everything downstream is affected.
So we've established information quality as the bedrock. It's upstream, which logically leads to, okay, how do humans actually create and share reliable meaning? What's the underlying system?
And that's where Odam Tili theory comes in. Odam Tili, it means human language in Uzbek.
Right, and it jumps into a really old debate in linguistics.
A huge one. You had Saussure saying basically the link between a word like dog and the actual animal is arbitrary, just a convention we agreed on.
And then Chomsky argued language is more innate, like a biological instinct wired into us.
Correct. OTT challenges both. It says, hold on, it's not purely arbitrary, nor is it just an innate module working in isolation.
Okay, so what is it then, according to OTT?
It proposes language is a natural coding system, that it emerges from universal patterns, acoustic, semantic, perceptual patterns that are not arbitrary. They anchor language in our physical experience of the world.
So it's trying to find the sort of natural laws of communication, like physics finds the laws of the universe?
That's a great analogy. If DNA was the code of life in the 20th century, OTT is aiming to uncover the code of meaning in the 21st.
But for a code to work, it needs, well, elements. Building blocks. What does OTT say those are? What anchors it to reality?
That's the absolute core, the triadic foundation. OTT argues meaning isn't just floating out there. It's generated by synthesizing three key components. These link our bodies, our feelings, and the environment.
Okay, the triadic foundation. Let's spend a moment on this because it feels crucial. What are the three parts?
First is gesture. Think physical motion, body language.
Yeah.
The motor root of symbols. We point, we shape things with our hands, we move. OTT says language starts with action.
Makes sense. We communicate a lot non-verbally. What's second?
Feeling. The affective side. Meaning has to resonate emotionally, connect to our inner states, our lived experience. If it doesn't feel right, somehow it doesn't stick as deep meaning.
Okay, gesture and feeling, body and emotion. What's the third? So it was maybe the trickiest?
Shape, and this is maybe the most novel part, it refers to recurring forms, patterns, structures we perceive in nature and even in our own bodies. Think spirals, vertical lines, containers. These basic shapes, OTT argues, influence speech sounds and ground semantics. It's about recognizing fundamental patterns.
Shape. That's interesting. Can you give an example? How would gesture, feeling, and shape work together for a simple concept? Maybe like up.
Okay, up or high? That's great. Gesture, physically pointing upwards, reaching, resisting gravity.
Yeah.
That movement.
Right. Universal gesture.
Feeling, the associated sense, maybe aspiration, power, looking towards the heavens, transcendence, that kind of internal state.
Mm-hmm.
And shape, the recurring visual pattern. Mountain peaks, tall trees, the vertical axis itself, maybe even the shape our mouth makes, saying certain associated sounds. OTT claims it's the convergence of these three. The gesture, the feeling, the shape pattern that gives up its universally understood, non-arbitrary core meaning across languages.
Okay, that clicks. It makes it less abstract, so language isn't just made up, it reflects our embodied interaction with the physical world.
Precisely. It's saying language acts like a bridge between our internal experience and the external reality, and that bridge is built on these shared, natural foundations. Meaning becomes testable against reality.
Which brings us back to the big claim. If this is a better linguistics theory, great, but why call it a meta-discovery potentially bigger than, say, AI or CRISPR?
Because of that dependency we talked about. CRISPR, AI, they are amazing applications. They operate using information. OTT tries to explain the rules of information itself. How reliable meaning is even possible for humans.
Okay, let's walk through those comparisons from the research. CRISPR, amazing gene editing tool.
Phenomenal. But its success is totally reliant on having an accurate map, accurate information about the DNA sequence, get the info wrong.
And you cause harm, not healing.
Right.
The tool's power depends entirely on the informational input.
Now, mRNA vaccines, brilliant platform tech. But what's the key innovation there?
It's the informational code, the sequence written onto the mRNA molecule that tells the cell what to do.
Exactly. It's literally a script. The vaccine is the information. The delivery system is just packaging.
Yeah.
The accuracy of that informational sequence is everything.
And this dependency seems super clear with artificial intelligence, especially the big language models we see now.
Oh, absolutely. They are statistical marvels. They can predict the next word in a sentence with stunning accuracy because they've processed billions of examples.
But they don't truly understand the meaning, do they? They mimic based on probability.
That's the common critique, and where OTT suggests a path forward. Imagine an AI trained not just on text statistics, but on the triadic foundation principles.
How would that work?
Well, instead of needing a million examples of danger, it could perhaps leverage the inherent human connections. Maybe the link between a sharp shape, an alarm-feeling state analog, and a recoil gesture analog.
So it gets context built in. It wouldn't need quite as much data because it could tap into these potentially universal human priors.
That's the hope. It could generalize better, move from just predicting correlations to something closer to genuine semantic understanding, more efficient, potentially safer AI.
Okay, makes sense for AI, CRISPR, mRNA. But what about the big physics breakthroughs? Higgs boson, gravitational waves. The research seemed a bit dismissive, saying limited direct social utility. Isn't that unfair? Physics underpins so much technology.
That's a very fair point to raise. And I don't think the idea is to dismiss physics at all. It's more about the layer of impact. Physics discoveries expand our knowledge of the universe, which leads to amazing tech, absolutely. Electricity, GPS, communications, huge social utility eventually.
Right.
But OTT, if it's correct, operates at a different level. It's not about the universe itself, but about how we humans create and share knowledge about the universe, or anything else for that matter. It's about the integrity of the knowledge creation process itself.
Ah, I see the distinction now. Physics discovers the rules of the cosmos. OTT tries to discover the rules of human meaning-making. One describes reality, the other describes our description of reality.
Exactly. It's potentially defining the conditions of possibility for reliable information in human systems. That's why it gets called meta.
Okay, if this theory gets validated, the implications sound enormous. The researchers talk about a possible natural code revolution.
Yeah, they frame it as the potential fifth major shift in how humans handle information, a huge claim.
What were the first four again?
Speech itself, obviously.
Yeah.
Then writing, enabling records and law. Then the printing press, democratizing access and boosting science. And then digital code, leading to global networks and AI.
So how would a natural code revolution be different? The printing press spread existing information. Digital code manipulates it faster.
This would be about the quality and grounding of the information itself. If OTT is right, it could give us tools to create and verify meaning more reliably, maybe even democratize the process of reaching shared understanding based on natural principles, not just convention or authority.
Wow, okay. And beyond the tech side, like better AI, what about for culture or for knowledge itself?
Well, potentially unifying different schools in linguistics, cognitive science, semiotics, fields that have often been siloed or at odds.
And the research mentions something quite sensitive, helping expose distortions in history or improving cross-cultural understanding. How could a language theory do that? Sounds like a big leap.
It does, and it needs careful handling. The idea isn't that OTT magically rewrites history. It's more subtle.
Okay.
If a core concept has a grounding in universal gesture, feeling, and shape patterns, but a particular historical text or narrative uses that concept in a way that seems totally disconnected from that grounding, OTT could potentially flag that.
As potentially manipulated or misinterpreted over time.
Exactly. It acts as a potential check, a way to scientifically evaluate the integrity of a narrative against potential universal human semantic anchors. It's a verification tool, not a political weapon.
That framing makes more sense focusing on consistency and integrity. And it could help preserve endangered languages, too, by understanding their deeper structures.
Potentially, yes. An aid in translation or communicating complex ideas across cultures with less ambiguity if we understand the shared foundations.
Okay, the potential is huge, but we need that reality check.
Yeah.
This is still a young theory. What are the major roadblocks?
Number one, without a doubt, empirical validation. Massive claims require massive evidence. You need rigorous testing across tons of languages, cultures, psychological experiments, computational models.
To prove these gesture, feeling, shape patterns are truly universal anchors and not just tendencies.
Precisely. That's a huge undertaking. Then there's skepticism. You're challenging giants like Saussure and Chomsky, plus the whole statistical paradigm in AI. Expect pushback.
Yeah, established fields don't change overnight.
And finally, those speculative risks we touched on, especially around history or culture. The proponents need to be strictly evidence-based. If they overclaim, especially early on.
They could undermine the whole project before it gets a fair hearing. Credibility is key.
Absolutely.
So let's wrap this up. The core idea. If DNA was the 20th century's master code for life,
OTT is proposing itself as the 21st century's master code for meaning, the DNA of human information.
and its importance, its meta-status, comes not from being the shiniest new tech, but from potentially defining how we do everything else correctly.
How we ensure the information fueling our science, our AI, our societies, is actually sound, grounded, and reliable.
Which leads to the final thought, the real takeaway from all this research. We face huge global challenges, right? Climate change, pandemics, AI safety, conflict.
All of them complex.
And every single one hinges on us as a species, acting on correct information, making the right calls based on a clear understanding of reality.
And if our very systems for creating and sharing meaning are flawed or arbitrary or easily manipulated, then we're building on shaky ground. The thought to leave you with is stark.
Without right information, there are no right decisions. OTT is essentially a search for the foundations needed to finally make those right decisions possible.